When do you think I'll be wanted?
It's out to Salem. The police solicitor's making a meal of it.
Darling.
Is this the record?
Hmm?
Well, apart from asking for a shandy, you haven't said a word for a quarter of an hour.
No.
Well, a question presupposes an answer. Will you marry me? Question mark. And you say yes or no, whichever the case may be.
Don't be flippant, Ken.
Shouldn't I have asked?
Well, I knew you would, but I wish you hadn't.
Did you want me to?
Yes.
Well, then,
I wish you hadn't.
that's not an answer.
No.
Well, I think I'm entitled to an answer.
You are?
Well, then. But don't worry, I've been turned down scores of times before. Well?
Let's go back, shall we?
Mr. Stoker was eventually conveyed to hospital, where, apart from suffering a severe concussion, he also had several stitches inserted in a rather nasty cut at the base of the skull, here, where, presumably, his head struck the hard floor of the public house when Mr. Booth knocked him down. Mr. Booth was subsequently interviewed by PC 243 Jones, and when charged, he replied, "I just lost my temper. I'm very sorry." That, your worships, is the prosecution's case.
Previous convictions, Mr. Sanderson?
I'm told there are none, sir.
Yes, Mr. Cotson.
May it please your worships, whilst we agree in substance with what my friend has just related, there are one or two points that I
You
think...
don't want to change your plea, do you, Mr. Cotson?
No, indeed not, sir. But I would like to call a witness to show the provocation my client suffered before the assault occurred.
In mitigation, you mean?
Exactly. You see, whilst we don't deny that a blow was struck, what we are saying is that this was the action of a man sorely tried.
Mr. Sanderson?
No objections. I reserve the right to cross-examine.
Naturally.
Please carry on, Mr. Cotson.
I'm obliged, sir. Call Elizabeth Lynch, will you please?
Elizabeth Lynch. Elizabeth Lynch.
Yes, very sad indeed. How old was he?
Only about 58.
Will you swear her in, please, Usher?
Take the book in your right hand and read the words on the card.
I mean, whoever listens to local radio? I don't know anyone who does. Oh, except Cissy Thompson, and I think that she just says she does. But the way Ina's behaving, you'd think her and her community centre were going to be on in town tonight, not just Radio Manchester.
Going to be on what?
In town tonight.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said. Da, 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 da.
Yes, that's it, Mr. Roberts. That was the signature tune for In Town Tonight.
Knightsbridge March by Eric Coates. That was one of the top records right up to the early 50s.
And after they'd finished the signature tune, a man used to say, "Once again we stop the mighty roar of London's traffic
To bring you some of the interesting people who are...
in town tonight."
Right.
I thought In Town Tonight went out with the Great Buffalo Words.
Oh, no, it finished about the time when television began to get popular. Oh, it was a shame.
Well, Mrs. Sharples can't be on it then, can she?
Oh, yes, she was alive then. Well, she was alive a long time before the First War, you know.
Yes, love, I know, but... Oh, never mind.
Any news?
About Jerry Booth, yeah.
You want to know, do you, Stanley? I mean, you are interested. You're really bothered about what happens to Boothie.
Well, of course I am.
I am and all.
Well, it's a bit flaming late, isn't it, matey? The time to be interested was when you dragged that layabout Stoker in here, shouting his mouth off and just begging for somebody to shut it for him.
How did I know he was going to upset Jerry?
Yeah, I was stand to know.
It wouldn't surprise me if you put Stoker up to it. You paid him to upset Jerry.
Take that back, Langton.
That were a rotten lie.
Were it, Hilda?
Langton!
Hey, just cool it, the lot of you. We don't want another punch-up in here.
Exactly my sentiments, Countess Roberts. Now, one more aggressive word from any of you, and you leave these premises. I mean it. I've had quite enough of rows and violence, whatever the circumstances or the provocation.
And then what happened?
Well, Stoker went on riling Mr. Booth,
In what way did he rile him?
saying things.
Yes, of course, but saying what?
Boozing at government's expense were better than working, and he hoped Mr. Booth were telling income tax office about backhanders he were getting skivvying for Mr. Fairclough.
Anything else?
No, that's when he hit Stoker.
But up to the time of this blow, the defendant had not retaliated in any way at all,
I never heard him.
even though he was sorely provoked.
I'd have dotted Stoker at first time he opened his mouth.
Thank you, Miss Lynch. No, don't stay where you are for a moment, please.
Any questions, Mr. Sanderson?
Just one, sir. The defendant did knock Mr. Stoker to the floor, knocked him semi-unconscious, in fact.
Oh, yeah, he gave him a real... Yeah, he did.
Did he? Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Lynch.
Yes, Mr. Cotson.
If the court will bear with me, I would like to call one more witness.
Oh, not more mitigation, surely.
A witness as to character. Call Leonard Fairclough, please. Councillor Leonard Fairclough.
Leonard Fairclough.
I'm here.
Take the book in your right hand and read the words on the card.
Just been feeling tired last week.
swear by Almighty God,
Yes, I believe.
I shall give shall be the truth,
Makes you
the whole
think,
truth,
doesn't it?
and nothing but the truth.
I think I'll be going, Mrs. Walker.
Oh, well, goodbye, dear.
I don't know what I'm going to do until tea time, and I'm not going to see Keena out, and it's too chilly to sit in the park. Oh, and autumn depresses me. I've never been able to understand the need to have different seasons. Oh, I wish it was always summer. Oh, well, I'll go and put my washing away. What bit there is. Oh,
Hello, Mrs.
hello,
Cornwell.
love.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Howard, but I called time a few minutes ago.
It's quite all right, love. I haven't come in to buy anything, really. I'm here at the bequest of Emily Nugent. She wants to know how Jerry is. She's been blowing in and out my office like a draft all afternoon.
Well, I'm afraid I've no news.
Emily seems to think he's going to get life.
Oh, well, Emily can make a mountain out of a bowler hat.
You know, if you don't mind me saying so, Mrs. Walker, you don't seem very concerned yourself.
Of course I'm concerned. I don't want Jerry to go to prison. It's the last thing I want. But it really must be remembered that he resorted to violence. And isn't that the modern blight? Violence. Don't footballers get banished to cricket or something these days for coming to blows?
Well, I only wanted to know if you'd heard anything. Blimey.
And in all the years you've known the defendant, you've always found him to be law-abiding, hard-working, when he had the chance to work, that is, and honest.
Too honest. That's the trouble.
Really, perhaps you'd better explain that, Councillor Fairclough.
It would be a good idea. I wasn't aware that there were degrees of honesty.
Well, I meant that Jerry, Mr. Booth, has always set himself very high standards in everything he does. I mean, for instance, you'll never see him chucking his weight about.
Like Mr. Stoker was doing.
That's the last thing Mr. Booth would do.
And what would be the effect on Mr. Booth of this sort of harassment?
He'd be upset. He'd take it personal. Very personal.
Which, of course, he'd every reason to do. After all, Mr. Stoker's allegations that Mr. Booth was, well, to use the vernacular, a layabout, were totally baseless.
Well, he's walked his feet off trying to get a job.
Thank you, Councillor Fairclough.
Mr. Sanderson. Step down, please.
May it please your worships, first of all, I would like to thank the court for being patient enough to listen to Miss Lynch and Councillor Fairclough. On the credit side is the fact that I shan't have to be on my feet quite so long. Now, it is perfectly clear from the evidence that my client was goaded to this assault to the point where some sort of explosion was inevitable. One question I might have asked Councillor Fairclough was his opinion as to the defendant's ability to express himself. I'm not saying that my client is inarticulate, but words do not come readily or easily to him, and where you or I might have retaliated with invective, he couldn't. So he chose the only means open to him, a blow struck in anger in reply to the totally unfounded charge that he was a leech sucking society dry. And I can assure your worships that that is the last thing my client is. He is a skilled, hard-working tradesman who cannot get a job. What a comment on our society, where honest craftsmanship is valueless and disc jockeys are lionized. Finally, I would ask your worships to treat my client as leniently as possible, as I'm sure you will.
Have you anything to add, Mr. Sanderson?
My friend says that only one blow was struck, as if that did the accused credit. Only one blow was struck because only one blow was necessary. It laid Mr. Stoker flat, put him in hospital, and resulted in his head being stitched.
The magistrates will retire.
All stand, please.
How long does it take them to decide what to do with somebody? They won't send him to prison, will they?
No, I don't think they will.
But they could.
Oh, they could.
Do you know any of the magistrates?
All of them.
Oh, well, that should help them. Them knowing, you and knowing you're Jerry's mate.
I don't think you're right there, Lou.
How do you mean?
Well, I mean, the chairman is a managing director. The other fellow's a wholesale grocer. The woman is a head mistress, not the kind of people who are usually very lenient towards tearaways.
Jerry, a tearaway.
That's what he looked like to them three, love.
They're coming back.
Hey, come on, let's get back in.
Stand up.
We have given this case extremely careful consideration. Not only because we wanted to be fair to the defendant, a man of hitherto unblemished character, but also because of the social issues involved here. Had he not been out of work, through no fault of his own, the provocation would not have arisen, and the blow never struck. It seems indisputable to me that a man who wants to work should be allowed to do so. Any other situation is immoral and wastefully uneconomic. Though it would be fair to say that there are those, and the years of full employment unfortunately prove them to be legion, to whom work is anathema. However, we do not consider for one moment that the defendant is one of those. We sympathize with him in his predicament, but we condemn him for failing to control his temper and committing an act of extreme violence. Gerald William Booth, you will be conditionally discharged for 12 months. The clerk will explain that to you.
This means that you're not being punished for this offence, but if you commit any other offence within the next 12 months, you can be punished for that offence And for this one as well. You're free to go now.
I'll see you back.
Clear the court. We do have other business.
Thank you. You did a good job there, Frank.
Yes, I'd like to say thank you, Mr. Cox. Thank you very much indeed.
Well, it's my pleasure. Only next time someone gets you back up, try and keep your hands in your pockets.
Yeah.
I hope you get a job soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Right. First up is the first pub for a pint.
They'll just be opening, Jerry.
Oh, and I'm buying.
You bet your life.
Come on.
Here.
I'm coming. Really, midwives aren't expected to be as punctual as I am. Oh, Miss Nugent.
Sorry, Mrs. Walker, I'd left my key behind.
Well, there is a back door.
Oh, I couldn't bring myself to waste time walking the few extra steps. Any news of Jerry?
This isn't a branch of royalty, you know, Miss Nugent. Carrier pigeons aren't dispatched here from every corner of the globe bearing messages.
Is there nothing in the evening paper?
Not arrived yet. So, we'll just have to fall back on the proverb, shan't we, dear? No news is good news.
That's rarely been my experience, Mrs. Walker. No news generally means the news is bad and building up to be even worse.
Before you ask, I've heard nothing.
Neither have I. I'll have a pint, please, love.
Make it two on me. I feel bad about this, you know.
You're going to feel a lot worse, aren't you, if he gets 6 months?
Yes, I am.
Of course, sir. You could always spring him, couldn't you, Stan, eh? Hire a helicopter, alight in Parkhurst exercise yard, whistle Jerry aboard and off to Cuba. You might even pick up a couple of train robbers while you're at it.
Oh, shut up.
Oh, I'm just trying to be helpful, you know, Stan.
I'll do.
Well, don't look at me. Your husband's paying.
Any news?
No.
Oh, I think I'll have a short chuck.
Right.
I wonder how much it costs to hire an helicopter if it's cheap a bit weak.
What's he on about?
Hey, your Hilda could climb down rope and Jerry could climb on her back.
Can we talk again, please?
Rather we didn't.
It's fairly important.
Aren't we all right as we are?
No.
Look, sometimes it's best just to let things drift. I mean, decisions only hurt. They don't improve things.
I asked you to marry me and you haven't given me an answer.
No.
Well, I'd like an answer now.
I'd rather not.
Because you're not sure.
Yes?
That's not true, is it?
Yes.
I'm sure.
Are you?
Meaning?
Look, Ken, there's a wall between us, a gap, a barrier, something.
Oh, Val.
No, not just
Well, what
that.
then?
Well, it hasn't exactly been a happy relationship, has it? I mean, both of us with unhappy pasts overshadowing the present. And
Oh, it's a
they
great
do
comfort. It's just not
nothing.
me that you're blaming now.
Of course not. Look, I know. I mean, I know I'm scared of marrying again. I mean, once bitten, twice shy, as they say.
Yes, I understand that. I understand that. But even if you hadn't been married once, we're both well past the age of wide-eyed innocence. But does that mean that you'll not get married again? I mean, I will, cynical though I am.
Ken, can you honestly say, when you look at me, you sometimes don't see Val?
Val's becoming a receding memory, you know. Sometimes now it's a tremendous effort to even remember what she looked like. Now, 3 months ago, a month ago, I would have thought that that couldn't happen.
I believe you.
Well, then.
I believe you now, this minute. But not tonight, not when a passing train wakes me up. Not when I'm working tomorrow. Then, I think, I'm just a replacement. I look a bit like her, I even act a bit like her, and that's why he wants me.
Is that such a bad thing? What? You've had one bad marriage, right?
Yes.
And I had a good one. I didn't realize it at the time, but it was good, and it was getting better. Now, supposing you're right, supposing I have married you as a Val substitute, which I deny emphatically, is that such a bad thing, to want to continue a marriage that was getting better?
You know what they call that in hospital?
What?
A transplant. They fail more often than they work.
I'm prepared to take a chance.
You wanted an answer.
Please.
It has to be no, Ken. No, I would have liked to have been the second Mrs. Barlow, but I can't. I can't.
That's the best bit of news I've had, mate, since Rita Slattery said she'd come to Flicks with me.
Who were Rita Slattery when she was told me?
She was the best-looking girl in Standard 1, I'll tell you. No, seriously, mate, you know, if they sent you to jail, I reckon I'd chain myself to Ted Heath's loo.
You know, I thought I might go to jail and all. I kept hearing them gates shut behind me.
Aye.
Yeah, Jerry, mate, fill your boots. I still think we should have had a big nosh-up in a cafe. We'll have a big nosh-up in a cafe. There I got my first wage packet. You don't change, do you? No. Sometimes I wish I could, though. Like this afternoon in that dock, I thought, oh, Jerry Booth, you're a fool, you are. You should have laughed in that bloke's face, treated him with contempt instead of getting all steamed up.
Oh, well, you know, it were worth getting steamed up in the end. You've likely transformed a very unreasonable Mr. Stoker into a very reasonable Mr. Stoker, and that can't be bad.
Well, put that way out and it were worth it.
Yeah.
Anybody home?
Hey, Jerry, do us a favour, would you nip in the backyard for a sec?
Aye?
Go on, take your plate.
What, my bacon dip will get congealed?
Yeah, you can have my dip. Go on.
Oh, yeah.
Make out Jerry got sent down.
Oh, Mr. Fairclough.
Oh, you're back then. Where's Jerry?
Stan's very sorry.
I'll give me right arm if I could alter things.
Oh, he would.
I mean, I like Jerry. I always have.
Yeah, me and all.
I mean, I must have been daft thinking he was after me job.
I think you must have had a brainstorm, Chuck.
I mean, as if he would, like.
Yeah, as if.
And mind you, I admit I did egg that fella on a bit, like, you know.
Stan.
So if he's in prison now, it's my fault, isn't it? I'd give me right arm,
I'm
honest.
not in prison, Stan.
Jerry!
You got off then?
Yeah.
You heard?
Some of it.
Well, I meant it.
Well, like me, you did.
Look, can we let bygones be bygones, like, you know?
Yeah, and be friends.
I suppose so.
Right. I'll buy you all a pint next time in the Rovers, eh?
Yeah, I'll buy you all 2 pints as long as it's not too long after payday.
See you.
See you.
Ta-ra. Len, Ray.
Go on out, kid.
You let him off light, mate. I'm telling
Very
you.
light. Ah, I suppose I did. Felt a bit sorry for him. Any road, it's best to start afresh. All I need now is a job. Oh, my bacon dip has congealed.
Mrs. Sharples has spent, what, 2 days with this chap from Radio Manchester?
Oh, 3, I've been counting.
Ah, showing him round, answering millions of questions, contacting folk for him.
Oh, she didn't contact me.
But at the end of all that, what happens?
What?
You'll never guess.
Well, go on, tell us.
Well, who's the person you think he wants on the programme?
Oh, stop messing about, Alf. Come on, out with it.
Yes, go on, tell us, Mr. Roberts.
None other than Albert Tatlock.
Albert Tatlock? What did Mrs. Sharples do? Strangle a fella from Radio Manchester with her hairnet or something?
There was some talk of a body being found in the River Irwin.
Serve her right for fancying that she's William Hardcastle. Oh, but Mr. Tatlock, old Albert.
No, you shouldn't laugh, really.
No, you shouldn't.
Yeah, the beer must be good in here, laughing less than an hour after opening time. Does me dad know? I say, do you know you've got your name in the paper along with Councillor Fairclough and not mentioning Jerry Booth? Oh, let's have a scare.
After me.
Aye, aye, well, the cat's away, etc. This is the second night this week you've been out gallivanting. I think an anonymous letter to Ernest Bishop's call for myself.
Well, he'd probably be very pleased. I mean, my letters are so dull.
He keeps writing to say how well he is now and what an interesting time he's having, and all I can tell him in return is that I'm spending the odd evening babysitting for my new boss. What marvellous news about Jerry. And bye.
Ta-ra, love.
Do you believe her?
Yes, I do.
Come on, Elsie, with that paper. Elsie.
Did, you say you'd read this?
Huh? Well, I mean the bit about her and her criminal friends.
Well, read it again, out loud, that bit.
Oh, it's me who's got a name in print, you know.
NW means Northwest, isn't it?
You're not the only one.
Northwest photo man jailed. Orgy on a Spanish beach. And, the photographer was photographing girl models outside a newly built hotel. Some hippies arrived on the scene. Police intervened and the photographer was arrested. Police named him as Ernest Bishop.
It must be him.
It is him.